Hey everybody, it's Derek Hayden with Garrett Ulmer over at Shelbyville Insurance. We are here with Jaden Widdersheim and Eric Forlines of Shelby County State Bank. We wanted to send out a quick video to answer a lot of questions that we've heard regarding the second round of PPP loans, and we figured who better than the experts over at Shelby County State Bank to help us answer those questions. So I'll let Garrett Ulmer go ahead and ask the first question.
Sure. Well, like Derek said, we appreciate you guys jumping on here with us. We'll just kind of start it off in a basic, format here. What exactly is the Paycheck Protection Program and what's it consist of?
Sure. So the PPP program, it was created along with the CARES Act. That was back in April 2020. I think it was approved late March. April 2020 is kind of when the ball got rolling on it. Basics of the program is to help the individuals or sole proprietors or businesses. They can apply for a forgivable loan in hopes that it helps them, keep their employees and keeps their businesses afloat during the pandemic.
Awesome.
Perfect. Thank you.
So what businesses are eligible for this second round of PPP loans?
Much any type of business. Again, a lot of this is driven off of what your tax return says. So you can be a sole proprietor, which, could be a farmer. It could be a local business owner that has decided that it's more advantageous to be file taxes that way than it is to be incorporated. It can be your corporations. It can be a partnership. It can be a limited liability company, which those can be sole proprietorships, partnerships, corporations, all rolled into one. So pretty much anybody that runs a business can do this. Now, one thing that people have to be wary of, if you're, a wage earner and the only job that you have, say you work at the bank and you get a W-2 form, you would not be eligible for this. Now, one thing that is, there was some discussion about the first round were people that get 1099. So if you're getting a 1099 form from somebody for a service that you provided, then you should be able to qualify on your own because you're likely filing a Schedule C form. So you may not run a quote unquote business like a storefront or something, but you would qualify under that. And we've had some people that have been able to do that. So, a lot of the things are, you're going to have to talk to multiple people. You need to talk to your bank. You need to talk to your accountant, and they're going to help you on whether you should be able to qualify. There are some restrictions that SBA has on faith-based organizations, and one that was a big one was gambling facilities. SBA normally does not do loans to those organizations. They are doing that for PPP. So if you have a riverboat casino somewhere, you can apply for PPP. If you have a church, you can apply for PPP.
Okay.
Excellent.
You touched base on a little bit, that there was a first round. If somebody did receive a loan during the first round of the PPP, can they apply during the second round?
Yeah, so they can apply. It's kind of broken up into two parts. There's a loan called the first draw loan, which means they did not apply the first time around. So theoretically, if the people did not apply for the first or second wave of PPP and want to apply now, they're still considered a first draw loan applicant.
Okay.
If you applied the first time around or second time around, you are now considered a second draw applicant. You have to hit certain guidelines. The big one is the revenue reduction. You have to show from 2019 to 2020 that you had gross revenue decrease of 25%. That can either be on an annualized basis, from 2019 or 2020, or a business quarter, Q1 of 2019 to Q1 of 2020. If they can show a 25% reduction there, they are able to apply again for second draw. Now, there's probably some instances that's going to be out there where people still have their first draw loan out there with their bank and it hasn't been forgiven yet. If they can prove that they've already used the funds appropriately, then they can go ahead and already apply for the second draw, even without the forgiveness yet. They can go ahead to their bank, apply for the second draw. and try to get approval for that.
I
Great.
think we're in a fortunate area because a lot of our businesses didn't have to completely shut down. So, here at the bank, we kind of think that there are going to be people that will qualify for the second draw. But what we've actually received the most phone calls about are people that didn't do it last time and they're actually applying for the first draw.
Okay.
Or they're farmers, which have a special clause that's with the bill that was signed on December 27th that changes the entire game for how farmers can apply. So if you're a farmer and were not eligible in the first round, and most of the time, the reason they were not eligible was because they showed a negative net income on their tax return. Now, that sounds terrible. How could a farmer lose money? It's an accounting procedure. People have depreciation. That's why you see a lot of equipment purchased at the end of the year. So it may just be an accounting purpose to limit tax liability. So those people were not eligible the first round. Now they are, because if you apply now for the first draw and you're a farmer, you can base your loan amount on the gross income, which
Okay.
is a huge change.
Absolutely. Especially in our area.
And it's really reaching more people, and it's possible we'll have more farmers apply now than they did before, because using that gross income, they're going to be able to be eligible for more money as well.
Absolutely.
Wow, that's great. That's good info. So if a business does apply, what are some of the expenses that are eligible to be used for this PPP loan?
Expenses for it, it can wide range. The first draw, the first and second wave, it was pretty much limited to payroll costs, utilities, and mortgage interest. They've kind of expanded that now to where it's those three, along with covered operations expenditures, kind of like cloud computing. If people are working from home now and they need to upgrade their computer software and things like that. Covered property damage, covered supplier costs, and then covered worker protection expenditures. Along with that, and Eric can make sure I'm telling you this right, but with some of those, or the first and second wave of that also, they were not going to be able to write those off as expenses on their tax return. And I believe that rule has changed now to where when they file taxes, they will be able to file those as expenses, even if they use the PPP funds for it. So.
Okay.
That's exactly right, Jaden. They'll be able to, there was going to be, the IRS didn't really agree with what the Congress was passing. And even though Congress said you should still be able to deduct all these expenses, IRS was saying that's a double dip. Well, anybody that claims that there's a double dip in here somewhere, it doesn't understand the whole process. So, but now they have changed that so that all the expenses that you're using your PPP money, you can still deduct on your taxes. Again, make sure that you're talking to your CPA, your accountant, whoever prepares your taxes, and just make sure that they understand it the same way as we do. But everything we've heard, that those will be deductible expenses. I think it's really funny, you look at this and you kind of see things that have happened over the past 12 months. One of the big things that they list in here that you can spend that money on is damaged property. You know who they're doing that for?
Sure.
The towns that had the riots.
Sure.
Yeah.
So people can use that money to fix their storefronts and stuff like that. So I think we had a broken window down in our West Main branch. Maybe we should maybe we should do something with that. I don't know.
There you go. Very nice.
Well, I think you guys touched on it for just a little bit, but are these loans able to be forgiven?
Yeah, absolutely. As long as the loan proceeds are used appropriately and within the covered period, they can be forgiven. That's one thing Eric and I haven't touched on yet. The borrowers get to choose between two different covered periods, an 8-week covered period or a 24-week covered period. We usually try to, I'm not saying push on the customers, but recommend that they use the 24-week, because that will for sure give them enough time to use those funds appropriately versus the 8 weeks. It might be a a tight window for them to use those funds appropriately. Yeah, 8 or 24 weeks, and then it should be good to go.
Perfect.
Awesome. So what's the process, or how can a business start the application process for the PPP loans?
The best thing that they can do is call their bank. This is one of those strange things where, normally we want to go out there and get every loan we can, and we still want to do that, but you're going to find that it's probably easier for you to apply by going to the bank that you do business with, where your business account is. And the only reason for that is because they're going to have a lot of your information up front. Particularly if you're applying for the second draw, should really go to the bank that you got your first draw loan from, because they're going to have all your information that you provided for that first draw, which would be necessary for the second draw anyway. So, contact your bank. They should have the information if they are participating. There are some banks that are not participating in this program. But the other route you can go, you can look at SBA.gov, and, I don't ever type in a full URL address. So if you just Google search SBA PPP, you're going to come up to that page, and there's a lot of information on there. But what you want to look for is the first draw PPP application. And it's really simple. Somebody could fill that out in less than 5 minutes.
Great.
What's the deadline for applying?
The second wave here, they have that scheduled to expire March 31st of 2021.
Okay.
Gives you about 2 months here, a little bit more than 2 months to get that in. Now, that's all with the caveat that there's funding available.
Sure.
So if they get to February 15th and the money's all gone, then it obviously is over.
Okay.
Although, not to get political here, but we could probably see what happened the first round was they ran out of the money, and then they said, we need to, earmark more money for this program. So there's a potential you could see that, but I didn't think we would see this second round come. So I wouldn't rely on that. I'd make sure you get your application into your bank and get that process started. The process is a little bit different this time. Last time people would come in and apply, and we could basically do the loan while they were sitting there. SBA is trying to limit fraud. So what is going to happen now is once we can get on the portal, put the customer's information in there, we will get an approval. We're not sure how long it's going to take, but I think it may be a couple of days before we will get an SBA loan number. And we kind of called that the golden ticket, right, Jaden? We needed that. We needed that number in order to move on.
Okay.
And once you get that number, then your bank will call you to come in and sign a loan. And at that point, then the money gets dispersed to your account, and then you need to calendar in somewhere 8 to 24 weeks. You need to apply for forgiveness, and you apply for forgiveness through the same bank that you got your loan from. So you always want to be in contact with those folks. We've noticed with the first batch that went through, we've probably got 80% of those loans that have been forgiven, which is great. The loans, the whole system worked just like it should. And so we still have some people that are waiting to apply for forgiveness, but I know Jaden had done a couple 3 days ago, and the forgiveness is coming in tomorrow. So It's working. It's actually a fairly efficient system for the United States government.
Good.
Well, good deal.
So we mentioned the deadline. Today is January 13th. I believe the application process was opened up on Monday of this week, which was the 11th. So are all businesses now able to start applying?
So that's not exactly. They did open up on Monday, but it was for certain banks, kind of minority-based banks. Eric can give you we got an email, and there was 4 type of different financial institutions. We are not one of those. I honestly don't know if any bank around here is one of those. Maybe they are. But Monday was the first window, I think was maybe the the first draw people, and Wednesday they were going to open it up for the second draw. And again, it was only for those select financial institutions. We're hoping, we haven't been told yet, but we're hoping maybe by the end of this week, maybe Monday, it will be open for us. I know Eric every morning is getting on there and he's telling us, nope, not open, or, so once we have the tab to be able to start inputting the applications, like I said, we already have, Eric showed you guys, we have a stack full of them already. Once we can input them, we're going to put them in there and then wait a couple of days for the SBA number, and then call the customers up. They'll come into the bank here and they'll sign their promissory note and forgiveness acknowledgement.
Okay.
And again, this is really different from the first go around. The first go around, many banks had not been an SBA lender for years. And so they had to get registered with them, get access to their website. We actually referred customers to other banks for a little while because we could not get on the site. But we feel like we're way ahead of the game now because, we have access to everything. We just need the grant approval to get into it. And like Jaden said, it's generally minority owned institutions, community development financial institutions, which are normally located in big cities. So you're going to have some qualification standards to probably even be doing business with some of those places. But I think they had like $15 billion that they assigned to those 4 institutions. So even once that's done, there's still billions and billions of dollars left. Just makes me fearful for whoever has to pay the bill for this someday. I guess that's the 4 of us. So.
So if an individual wanted to reach out to Shelby County State Bank, could they reach out to you guys for any questions or guidance or looking to get a loan then?
So absolutely. If they want to have any questions, myself, Eric, Chris Petzing at our main bank, Jesse Helton, Ashley Plummer, Nate Washer, any of us can help them answer questions. Like Eric kind of said a while back, we're encouraging people, if they're not customers of Shelby County State Bank, we're encouraging them to maybe go to their normal bank first, because there's probably a good chance that they're going to have a good chunk of documentation already at their main bank. It would make it simpler for themselves as far as the tax return, 3 months bank statements, everything like that. So but yeah, we're open for questions and can help anybody out.
Awesome.
What's the best way to contact you guys?
I would say our phone number, right, Eric? 774-3911.
3911.
Awesome.
Excellent. Well, great. Is there anything you guys would like to add to this? We've got through our list of questions. Is there anything important that sticks out to you guys that business owners should know about?
Really, I think, if you have any questions about it, don't hesitate to ask. There are still some questions that we have that, we forward on to the SBA, and sometimes we get answers, sometimes we don't. So everybody's going to interpret some of this differently. So don't be surprised if you go to one bank and they say one thing and you go to another and they say something different, because it is the interpretation of the rules. But we feel like everybody should be pretty much on the same page with this. But just want to thank you guys for inviting us on, and hopefully everybody gains a little bit better understanding of this. I know I've talked to a few people in the last couple of days that maybe this was the first time they had ever heard of this program.
Sure.
And we're not whether you want to apply or not, that's totally up to the individual. We're not trying to force this down anybody's throat or anything, but SBA and the government has actually really put it on banks to be active in this and be involved. I think we actually got a letter from one of our state representatives, I think it was Mr. Durbin, that sent a letter to community banks in Illinois and basically reprimanded us for not being active enough the first couple of days it was open in early spring. Little did he know we couldn't even access the site. So he got an interesting letter back from our community banking association. And, but there's obviously a disconnect between Washington and where we're at here today.
Absolutely.
And sometimes you see that, but I think this is definitely a program that is working. has really helped a lot of folks in our communities. And that's what we're here for. That's what you guys are here for, is to help our local communities grow and prosper.
Yep, absolutely.
Absolutely. Very good. Well, I'll go ahead and wrap it up. I'm Derek Hayden with Garrett Ulmer of Shelbyville Insurance, with our special guests from Shelby County State Bank, Eric Forlines and Jaden Widdersheim. Thanks again, guys.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Everybody take care.
Thank you.